is one of the most personable, amazing people in the writing business, Mary Robinette Kowal.
Significantly more generous than it's Erin. Okay, so welcome to Schmoozing 101. This is really about how to get the most out of conventions, writing conferences, and just generally when someone says, hey, I love you, come to this cocktail party with me, and you're like, no, please. Everything that I'm going to be telling you, most of this is stuff that I actually learned from my mom. My mom was an arts administrator for decades, and she did schmoozing. That was what her job was. Her job was to go places and get people to think that they should give her money. She did fundraising for the arts, and she was extremely successful at it. So today we're going to discuss why you should go to conventions, some general concepts behind schmoozing. Here we go. Some general concepts behind schmoozing, some specific schmoozing techniques, and goals to keep in mind at conventions. We're also going to be talking a little bit about body language, which is not on the slide. All right. Did it clicky? It did. Okay, so why should you go to a convention? So first of all, I want you to know that you do not need to go to conventions. You can have a perfectly good career without ever going to a convention. So if they seem overwhelming to you, you're fine, you don't have to do it. But they can provide some benefits. You can see other people in the field whose company you enjoy, much like you're doing here. When you go to a big convention, there are going to be other people there that will have overlapping interests. And so when you're looking for a convention, you're looking for some place that's going to maximize the overlapping interests. You're going to be looking for, if you are really into romance writing, you're going to be looking for a convention that has romance. If you really like gaming, you're going to look for somebody that is something that has a good gaming track. But you're looking for places of costuming that have stuff that has an overlap. You may also go because you want to improve your craft and business sense. Obviously with a writing workshop, that's a big part of it. But that can also happen just at a convention, just at a small local convention. When you go, sometimes there are workshops. Sometimes it's just the conversation that you have in the bar about, I've been thinking about how you ratchet up tension without a fight. And someone is like, yeah, I've been thinking about that too. And you can just have a conversation about it. And then there's becoming more visible, which is about increasing your general business profile. So let's talk about some of these things. So seeing people in the field whose company you enjoy, I've talked about why you might want to do it, but how do you actually arrange that? If you know someone else who's going, make plans to have meals with a friend. You all are all going to have dinner with each other every night at some random table. But during the day, you can say, hey, do you want to go have lunch with me? You can do a one-on-one. You can do a four-person, a smaller table, where you just get to know each other a little bit better. And then you can also look for shared interest meetings. We have some of those here, the affinity groups, but you can also throw into the meetup, hey, I love to crochet. Who wants to hang out and talk about yarn, or just sit around and by the pool and make things? Please hit me up if that is you. I relish the social aspect of science fiction and fantasy. There are people that I just plain like, and it's fun. And it's also nice to be in a place where everyone has at least, not everyone, most people have been at least a little bit vouched for. They have all opted in to be there, so you know that there's some overlap. You can just ask people, what's your fandom? We're going to talk about how to actually talk to people a little bit later. I know that that's really hard. So improving your craft and business sense. A convention with a really good list of panels is going to appeal to me a lot more than one in which I just hang out in the bar, although I do love that too. I want to know what's happening in the field, and I want to think about other things that aren't just products of my own brain banging against the inside of my skull. Even if I only learn one new thing, that's a thing that I didn't know before. And that's one of the things that I think about when I go to a convention is what is one thing that I can learn that I didn't know before. So even if it's not a convention with a particularly stellar list, if it's small and local, there's maybe single track programming like this. No, sometimes it's like it is enough that if I come out of it with one thing that I didn't know, that is enough. That makes me better at my job. Also, I will say that for all of you, when you are going to conventions, you should be signing up to be on programming. Even if you have not yet published anything, you should start doing that. So when you sign up for programming, one of the things that you can do as an early career writer is that you can sign up for the times that the professional writers, the ones who are deeper in their career, do not want to do. The early mornings and the late nights, the meal times. You won't have as big of an audience for those, but what happens is all of the convention runners talk to each other. All of them do. Every volunteer, everybody talks to each other. So if you go and you do a good job on a panel, the next time you sign up for something, you're gonna be like, this person was great. And again, just like if you only learn one new thing, if you just meet one new person from doing that, that's good. That's improving your world, and it's improving the world of the people around you.
So, do you just email the people running it and
so how do you do it? How do you actually do it? So when you're signing up to attend a convention, try to do this as early as you possibly can. There is going to be some place on the website that says apply to be a panelist. Like the giant things like a Dragon Con, you may have a harder time, but if there's usually a form that says, tell us a little bit about yourself. Make sure that you include what your fandoms are. Make sure you include the oddball things. Like I do writing panels, but because I also do costuming and I do puppets and I have this weird talking cat, I get put on other panels. I also include an interest in space, and so I sometimes wind up on science track panels. Also, no one wants to moderate. So if you can moderate, if you have done moderation before in another venue, and you can say I'm good at moderating, I don't mind. They will. You increase your chances.
The other thing is, like, do you think that volunteering for convention fits into this as far as the schmoozing and improving time? Because I know that a lot of conventions are really desperate for volunteers.
Volunteering is a fantastic way to get to know people. Like those of you who are volunteering here, my goal is to meet and talk to every single one of you. I remember the volunteers just a tiny bit more, not because of anything except that I have more frequent interaction with them. So make sure that you go in with boundaries set about how much time you're willing to give the convention. Becoming visible. This is increasing your professional profile. So when I was a new writer, I wanted to build my brand. And part of that was coming out of public theater. I knew that one of the things that I needed to do was to make sure that people knew who I was. I knew that when I went to these conventions that I wasn't going to get a lot of new readers, many times because I didn't have that much available for them to read. I started with short fiction. And a lot of times it was hard to find a story because I started when everything was still print. And so if you didn't see it on the newsstand, a lot of times it just didn't exist anymore. So I knew I wasn't going to get that many new readers at a convention, and even now I know that I'm not going to get that many new readers. But the people at the conventions are the ones who vote on things, and frankly, nominations can be leveraged. And I need to be clear that nominations and awards do not mean that you're a better writer than everybody else. Not getting them does not mean that you're a worse writer. It is about visibility and popularity, and about having something that speaks to people. And sometimes you have something that speaks to people, but it only speaks to a small number, but that's not about quality. So nominations and awards also do not automatically mean a reader increase. You have to know how to work them, but the power of narrative on career is actually a different topic. So the thing about going to these conventions is that conventions are filled with people who are a good target audience, particularly like if you want a Hugo Award, one of the best things you can do is actually go to Worldcon, because then the people who vote learn your name. And when they see it on the ballot, sometimes People will check them. Most of the time people actually read and vote, but sometimes they will check a box because they're like, I recognize this name. I have a good feeling about this, without actually having read it. Now, I will also be frank about how this works, because a lot of people do not understand how to do effective schmoozing when you are talking to editors and industry professionals, when you're talking directly to your target audience, when you're just talking to someone randomly in the bar. A lot of people just don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to read body language. They don't know how to just exist, especially after the lockdown. And one of the things that also happens to us, particularly to nerds, I think, is that we learn a lot of our social cues from media. Media skips the small talk. They never do that, but we have to do it in the real world. And most of the time, if you're watching things, they only show people head and shoulders. Every now and then you get full body shots, but not that often. So learning to read body language is really hard. And you know what's really, really hard? Learning to read it from a book. So we're going to talk about these things. And I realize that some people find talking about schmoozing distasteful, but I called it this because I just wanted to be honest with you. So the things that I'm going to go through are all ideas to employ. None of them are hard and fast rules, but basically, schmoozing is all about being charming. That's basically what it is. Your job is for people to think, I had a really good interaction with that person. I feel good about them. Oh, sorry, Abby. But what being charming means is going to vary situation to situation. So I'm going to talk to you about some basic ideas behind successful schmoozing, which doesn't get into some of the cultural differences, like what someone thinks is good behavior at a Final Fantasy conference may be different than at a writing conference, may be different than at a polo match. So the first idea is that the other person is more interesting than you. And this is the first thing that my mom said to me when I asked her, how do you schmooze? She said, the other person is more interesting than you are. Now, clearly there are going to be some cases where this is not actually true. Like, I am a professional puppeteer, I'm an audiobook narrator, I have multiple Hugos. On paper, that makes me more interesting. But I live with myself. The other person is someone I have never met. So they are more interesting than I am. I already live inside my head. I'm not going to say anything really that's going to surprise me, that's going to challenge me. The other person is. They are inherently more interesting than you are. The other reason, and this is crass and manipulative, but also, the more time someone spends talking about themselves or something that they are interested in, the better they feel, the more intelligent they feel, and the more interesting they think the conversation is. So, from a purely selfish point of view, treating the other person as if they are interesting, finding the thing that you're interested in, is going to be good for you. This does not mean lying. This does not mean getting trapped in a conversation. This means looking for the things that, the common interests, the thing that you are actively interested in. The first thing you want to do is practice being a good listener. Now, the way I do this is that as I'm talking with the person, I listen for things that we have common interests in. So they like cars? Amazing. I'm not actually that interested in cars, but there's this 1952 MGTD that my mom and dad did rally road races in. And if they bring up cars, I can talk about this MG. I can talk about how interested I am in that. I can remember my parents talking about it. I can find common ground. And so I will often be able to seed things in so that the other person doesn't feel like they're being interrogated. And I can often steer things, like if they tell me a range of things that they're interested in, I ask questions about the things that I am also interested in. Second idea, have an exit strategy. So let's say that you are a writer talking to an editor. It's a good conversation, but you don't actually know them that well. The conversation pauses. And rather than looking for a way to prolong it, you can excuse yourself. Jim Henson used to say, always leave them wanting more. So exit strategies are also useful when you are trapped in a conversation. It's okay to break the flow and say things like, I'm sorry, it's been really good talking to you, but I need to be somewhere right now. And you're not lying to them because you do need to be somewhere else, anywhere else. So it's also okay to lie, like especially if you have been really trapped, if you have given them all of the social cues and they are continuing to not let you leave by either using their body language to keep you from exiting, which is really gross, or by saying, oh, just put one more thing. If they've trapped you, you are escaping. At that point, it is completely fair to use a lie. I will share with you one that I have used, which will work less well on a cruise ship. My first agent was not a good fit, and did some things that were ethically shady, and so I left the relationship. And a couple of years later, we were both at a convention, and I had asked friends to, watch for me, to help me get out of conversations, to make sure that I was not trapped by this person. And we were at the same reception, and unbeknownst to me, she had come up behind me, and someone was asking me what I had going on the next day, and I was like, absolutely nothing. I'm so lucky I'm not on any panels. And she said, oh great, let's have coffee. And I'm like, and so I'm like, okay, because I don't believe in burning bridges. I do believe in making sure that, in protecting community, but I was also like, I will be a grown-up professional person. I will go have this coffee with you. And so we went and we had the coffee, and I was like, I should go now. And she's like, oh, but I just wanted to talk to you also about this. I'm like, okay, really need to, been great. Really, I'll talk to you later. Oh, but I was also thinking about, and I'm like, oh, okay, sorry, hang on. And what I did was I set an alarm with my ringtone for 2 minutes. I'm like, so sorry, I really hate to do this. You know how texts are. And then, okay, hey, yeah, no, I really, oh, hang on, sorry, I'm so sorry, this is my agent and I need to take it. She earned that. So I'm not saying that this is a practice that you should do on a regular basis, but I am saying that if someone else has already broken the social contract, any tool you need to use to leave is fair game. The third idea is to not be the first person to bring up business. Why? Because everyone at the convention, particularly one that is writing focused, is talking about writing and business, and you will be a welcome respite in the midst of a sea of people who have all been talking about the same things. You stand out this way. So this is particularly true when you're talking to an agent or editor, because everyone wants a little piece of their time. So if you are talking to an agent or editor and they are a serious birder and you talk about, oh yeah, I just had this great falconry experience, they're gonna be like, oh my God, tell me about falconry. You're not talking to me about your manuscript, it's amazing. But if someone else brings up business, you are more than welcome to indulge in it. Just don't be the first one to go there. This is, I should say, hierarchically based. So what do I mean by hierarchically based? What I mean is that when you are at a convention, there is a hierarchy of time, not skill, not talent, not money, but time. Agents and editors, people want more of their time. So it is about the person who has the least time to spend. That is the hierarchy of time. There is also a hierarchy of power. So this is not that the person with the power is, better. it is that very often when you're looking, it is linked to the amount of time that they have. On the other hand, those of you with power can easily hurt someone by not paying attention to them. So if you are above someone on the hierarchy of power, be the first person to bring up business. If you are below someone on the hierarchy of time, do not be the first person to bring up business. Does that make sense? And does the reasoning for it make sense for why? When you're on the hierarchy of power, you are opening a door, you are making space for someone. When you are on the hierarchy of time, you're respecting their time, and you're also doing something that will allow you to stand out. You're also giving them a break. So later, you can do a follow-up. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Agents, editors, they're all people like us. Some of them have skill sets that are also like us. They may be not that great at schmoozing either. What if you find yourself talking to somebody that's higher up on the hierarchy of power that doesn't know that they should bring up business first? I mean, is that a point where you should then broach it?
So what if you are talking to someone who is higher up and they don't know that they should be the first person to bring up business? Because they're a person and they may not understand that they have the power. Should you be the first person to bring it up? No. Because you don't know, that involves mind reading. That involves mind reading to understand why they are making that choice. They may be making that choice. They may know absolutely that they should be the first person. They may be exhausted from having done it all day. Or they may also be socially awkward and know that if business comes up, that they are going to be in a position where they're going to have to say to you, yes, please send me your manuscript, because they can't seem like a bad person. And so it puts social pressure on them in ways that are not necessary. Afterwards, though, drop them a line. We'll get to this slide, but we'll go ahead and hit it right now. Afterwards, you drop them a line and you say, hey, I really enjoyed our conversation about birding. I would love to send you my manuscript. You seem like you'd be a good fit for it. There are ways you can sneak up to it by saying things like, so what are you working on these days? Or are you reading anything that you're excited about? But not by centering yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah, I just talked to an author who said that he had met an agent that he'd been interested in standing in line, not to the bathroom, but it was almost that bad, standing in line at the bar, and told her all about his manuscript, and then said, can I send it to you? And she said yes. And I'm like, okay, you trapped her. She didn't have a choice there. And because he was convinced that it had gone really well. I'm like, nope, you've trapped her. The fourth idea, which is to be prepared for the business conversation. So it is a convention. The conversation is very likely to swing around to writing. If you have something to pitch, you should practice your pitch before at home. If you have a question, you should practice the question at home. If you've gone to panels, think about what your opinion is before someone asks you. For a long time, I was really, really bad at answering the question, so what do you write? And I have to tell you, like, I love all of you. I love every writer, except for that one dude. But he's not here. So when I ask you, what do you write? And we are at a science fiction and fantasy writing conference. If you say to me, science fiction and fantasy, you have not actually given me any information. Be a little more specific. Now I have a script. So when people ask me what I write, I can rattle it off. I'm like, I kind of write all over the map. I started with Jane Austen with magic, moved on to World War I with ghosts. Now I'm doing science fiction, everything from Apollo era to murder mysteries on cruise ships. And it's short. It's really short. What it is it's a high-level overview, which is what they want, because that gives them the ability to then ask a follow-up question. It's a kindness to give them information. It is especially a kindness when you are talking to someone who is above you on the hierarchy of time that you have met previously, because the chances of them not knowing who you are is very high. Not because they don't think you're important, but because they meet a lot of people. And so frequently when someone says, so what are you working on? What have you been doing since the last time I saw you? What they are saying is, please give me context clues. I used to say, same old, same old. I will never do that to another person ever again. It's the coolest thing in the world. I used to be incredibly good at names and faces and context. And now the database that has a column for names, a column for faces, a column for context has been randomly sorted. And someone has also done a find for place, and there is no undoing that. Everybody's name has an extra OI in it. I don't know why. So have a script, and also think about, it's okay to talk yourself up. Like, I've been terrible about being like a finalist for something or having a new book coming out and completely forgetting to mention it. By the way, you can pre-order my book, The Martian Contingency, which comes out on March 18th. But if someone asks me what I'm doing, that is opening the business conversation. Not being prepared for it, they're giving me an opportunity. So being prepared for it is important. The fifth idea, be physically pleasant. I mean, these days you do not actually have to be physically present. That is what online things are for. Is it shallow? Yeah, it is. But there are a lot of studies out there. There's a lot of really good science out there that repeatedly show that people who are attractive are treated better. It's rude, but we are primates, and that's apparently what we do. So for heaven's sake, take advantage of the science. Do you look good in green? Wear green. Do you have nicely turned calves? Show them off. And for heaven's sakes, please bathe. Because trust me, at a convention, just a tiny bit of effort will make you stand out. Do you want to know a secret? I almost never wear makeup in real life, but I wear it at conventions because when people take photos of me, I look dead. I do not have eyebrows naturally. I mean, they're there, but it is so pale, and when you take a photo, whew, those suckers are gone. And I'm like Queen Elizabeth, but like not reincarnated, just like her, still very dead. The other thing is that at a convention, you get very little sleep. This is a natural state at conventions. So regardless of where you are on the gender spectrum, learn about makeup and moisturizers. Tinted moisturizers are magical things that everybody should have access to. They make you look just a little bit more alert and also lovely for your skin. But this is not about fitting into a media ideal. This is not about wearing the suit. This is not about that. This is about what makes you feel good. What makes you, like, if what makes you feel good is a set of pajamas, wear a really nice pair of pajamas. Like, get silk lounging pajamas and go there. Find someone who's gonna make you, like your Green Lantern silk lounging pajamas and show up and people will be like, oh my God. I kind of want those now. Sixth idea, follow up. I'm also terrible at this. You met someone who's either fascinating or who might have a good connection later, just drop them a line. That's all, just drop them a line. It can be as simple as swinging by their website and dropping into their contact form that says, hey, it was good to meet you. Don't stalk them. Do not stalk them. But the tiny bit of post-con contact will help them remember who you are. And it'll also help you remember who they are, which is sometimes very hard sometimes. This is, by the way, a reason that it's good to hand out business cards at convention, and also why it is good to have business cards that you can write on. Because I will sometimes make a note on a business card, this is who this person was. And sometimes someone gives me a glossy all black one, I'm like, this is gorgeous, oh well. I'm often bad about this, but it's one of the best things that you can do just to get to know people and build a community. If you've met an agent or editor at a convention and you've had a really good conversation with them, you should absolutely mention that when you query them. Don't expect them to remember you, because again, they've met a lot of people and their database has been randomly sorted. And don't lie about it either. Like they may not remember you, but they will remember the like I've never had a conversation about M&Ms. Let's quickly review. The other person is more interesting than you are. Have an exit strategy. Don't be the first to bring up business. If business comes up, be prepared. Be physically pleasant. All right. So those are the basic schmoozing ideas.